Thank you very much, Congressman Sherman. We now proceed to Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are any of y'all familiar with the Phoenix Center for Research and Field Studies?
Congressman, I'm a bit familiar with it just from its online presence and from some reporting on it I've seen. I have
simple yes or no will be fine, sir. I'd be fine.
Yes.
Sir? No?
I'm not. No, Congressman.
Well, the Washington Examiner has brought to light a report by the watchdog group NGO Monitor. The report shows that the Phoenix Center has received over $30,000 in U.S. funds, has been partnered with the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine and the Palestine Islamic Jihad, two U.S. designated terror groups. Mr. Chairman, I request unanimous consent to submit this report titled New State Department Grantee Supports Resistance, Partners with Palestinian Islamic Jihad Leaders into the record.
Shall be accepted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, according to the Phoenix Center's website, it has supported armed resistance against Israel, which is, of course, a euphemism for terrorism. I don't know if y'all catch this or not, but we're using American tax dollars to fund these thugs against an ally, Israel, and yet you all, our own State Department, has listed them as a terrorist organization, yet we're funding them. In one discussion, participants in a Phoenix Center meeting emphasized the importance of resistance action and that the viable Palestinian choice of confronting the occupation's threats will require continued resistance action until achieving a third intifada. I'll have to ask somebody else to pronounce that word for me, but y'all know what I'm talking about. But knowing this, do y'all believe that the State Department is conducting appropriate oversight who receives U.S. taxpayer dollars?
Sir, I don't, and I think you're pointing to a big error that State Department and AID make. What they do to vet a group is they ask the National Counterterrorism Center or the FBI, the Phoenix organization, is it on the list? And if it isn't on the list, then everything's fine. They don't do even internet research to try to find out the things that the Washington Examiner had that NGO Monitor found out. They didn't put a spy in the organization.
Well, sir, let me submit to you, we give you all, what is over $60 billion a year, this State Department. You know, and I'm sure everybody up here will write a strong letter to these terrorists, but they're dirtbags. They're killing people, killing innocent people. That's why we're here today talking about this. I submit to you that that's not acceptable, and I think we as a Congress ought to start acting like a Congress like we're supposed to do and have control over this country's checkbook. And this money, whether it be $30,000 or 30 cents, going to a terrorist group, to me is just not acceptable. What do y'all think needs to happen so that U.S. tax dollars don't up in the hands of designated terror groups?
I think the first thing, sir, is State Department and AID need to go beyond a cursory check. Are they on the list? And start doing some elementary research about recipients. For example, what's on Twitter? For example, what happens if you do an internet search? Because you find out what NGO Monitor found out about this Phoenix group, and that apparently the State Department never found out.
Sir, I would just like to add this, that we have a vetting system that I think does a fairly good job of making sure that funds don't flow to organizations that work with Hamas or Islamic Jihad or Hezbollah. These are the sort of the big three, if you will, in this space. What I've seen consistently over the last several years is that the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, PFLP, the organization that you just mentioned, often goes overlooked. Now, this is traditionally a Marxist-Leninist organization that in recent years has started—
Are you talking about the State Department or this group?
It's a funny question. I'm talking about the PFLP,
I'm
sir.
not laughing.
PFLP, sir. The PFLP now receives money directly from Iran. and they have normalized themselves here in the United States. There are a lot of groups, in fact, 6 charities that have been designated by the Israelis. There's been a big flap here in the U.S. about whether the Israeli evidence that they provided against 6 different charities that work with the PFLP, whether their information is correct. I think starting with an investigation into PFLP and some of the other smaller groups might help kind of tighten the noose a little bit on the way that this funding flows.
Let me stop you right there because we're out of time, Mr. Chairman. I would just submit to you that y'all had one job and you failed. I would hope better in the future because we'll be looking at available dollars, and this to me is dollars that need to go elsewhere and not terrorizing Israelis. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.